Hello everyone, and welcome back to another tutorial video. And in today's video we're going to be looking at how to draw our anime and manga characters while sitting. So for this first pose, it'll be pretty simple, pretty straightforward. First, like always, we'll just start with a circle for the head. I'll also draw a line here to balance off of, so just a center line. So from there, just put in a simple draw line, so we just have a head up here. Alright, so we will angle our shoulders just to make our pose a little bit more interesting. So we'll kind of angle the shoulders and hips a little bit so they're not quite so bland. So I'm just going to put in my rib cage, my little shoulder circles. They kind of got a little too wide. So I'll just bring those in a little bit. Like that. From there, we can put in our hips. So we will angle our hips opposite to the angle of our shoulders. So our shoulders are going up this way. So our hips will go up this other way, and that is due to the positioning that she is taking while sitting. So we'll try to capture that here. So I'm still trying to keep my hips about shoulder width here. Well, they're kind of off to the side. So we'll do that here. And then we will angle ourselves just a little bit. So I'll take my center line and push it off to the side a little bit, like so. From there, we'll just connect the bottom portion and then put in our little hip shape. Like that. Then from here, I'll just mark off the hip bones because we know that those aren't going to be moving around. So next we will, might as well just connect these. So following the ribs, we'll just draw a little line just down here like so. And then we'll connect to the hips. And I'm keeping this right side a little bit more like a less exaggerated hourglass shape, but it'll be a little bit more exaggerated over here because this hip and shoulder are a lot closer to each other than on this side. So it's going to be a little pinch, so everything's going to kind of pinch together in an exaggerated hourglass shape. So from there, we'll just have this arm kind of off behind her. Just super simple arm shape. Got the elbows way off though. Kind of put the elbow where our rib line ends. It's basically where it falls. Then we put in our forearm, our pits. We'll do this other arm in a little bit though, because first we got to get some legs in here. So from here, we're going to kind of have her legs off to the side. I'm just going to scoot my character over so I have plenty of room. We'll have her legs off to the side. So what we'll do is draw a very generous knee circle, kind of off in front of her. And then from there, we can draw a second one, and so this leg right here is going to be stacked on this leg. So before we worry about this leg at all, we'll just go ahead and get this leg done. So I'll start with the glute, and we'll meet our knee. And the reason we want this knee so big is because the angle her knee is going to be very close to us compared to the rest of her body. So I'm trying to account for her having decently thick thighs here. So really, just kind of off of our hips, you're going to kind of push the glutes out, because since she's sitting down, you know, her legs aren't just kind of hanging there neutrally. They're going to, all of that mass in her leg is going to be pushed out and around. So we're going to stick the glute out just a little bit, then we'll connect like so. And notice how when I come to connect to the knee here, I'm not really cinching it tight. Like if we were having a standing pose, it'd be something, you know, similar to that. But the reason is because this knee is so much closer to us, it's not going to be as exaggeratedly getting thinner. Just because as something gets closer to us, it appears larger than the things behind it. So we don't want to get overboard there. And then, since her leg is going to be bent, we can pop the kneecap down a little bit. Since the kneecap kind of shifts downward a little bit when you bend your leg. And then, what I like to do is figure out where our lower leg is going to end. And then we can meet it with a decent sized calf. And this knee will make a little bit more sense in the line art. Kind of hard to see with all my lines. We'll do that. From there, we'll have a super simple foot, just a placeholder here. Something like this. And then from there, we can draw in our second. Well, actually, now I think about it, I'm gonna remove this lower leg because I still want this other leg shown. So we'll actually change that. So here, where again this glue over here, it's going to be a little bit above where this leg sits, just because this leg is beneath it and she's at an angle. So it's okay if the sort of base part of your glute is a little bit lower. From there, we'll continue that line, and we'll say her knee is in this position. And then from there, what we'll do is we'll scoot her up, and we'll just have her legs off in front of her. So we'll kind of follow this line here. We'll have the knee like so, and then from there we'll add our little ankles, and then we'll, on this outside line here, we'll still add a little bump for the calf, not too extreme though, because then we'll have a wider bump on the inside line. So a little bump on the outside, much bigger on the inside. And that's just because this shin is going to be at the forefront of what we're looking at through here. So you're just going to see the calf bump out around it. Whereas for this leg at this angle, it's a lot more straight on to us. And so what we can do is just do our calves like this. So it'll just be generously thick on either side of the knee here. Like so. And then I'll still just give her super simple feet basically just as placeholders. Just like that. Alright, so that like so. Then we can bend an arm over here. The arms don't matter too much, their position. You can have any position you want, but just for the sake of having them, I will put them in. Alright, so now kind of make sure that my head is in position here. It's just a little too high. I'll draw in a neck and some traps. And the traps on this side are going to be a little bit more bulged, a little bit higher, just because this shoulder's up higher. Add simple ears, a little smile. No. Add some breast shapes. Like so. Alright, so now I'll just quick do the line art here and just kind of go over what we're doing. So I'm not too concerned about the quality of my line art here. This is just a sitting tutorial, so I'm just going to do it all on one layer and just kind of get through it. So I'll draw a simple ear shape, both sides, trying to get it somewhat symmetrical still. Little smile. Alright, so from here, I just like to kind of go in the order that's sort of stacked on each other. So I'll give her breasts first. From there, we can do the arms. I guess I'll start from the top here, like so. And if you can, try to do some of the arms in one line if possible. It'll help the overall line art come out a lot smoother. But we have a bend in the forearm here, so it's okay if it's a little bit of a bend here. And then, let's see, so we'll do this other arm next. That in along with the forearm. Then this bit here on her side, kind of making it pinched, and then over here is still an hourglass figure, but it's going to be less exaggerated. Add a tummy line, which I forgot in the construction line portion, but just so you guys know where it's at. And then from there, I'll get rid of some of this arm. Put in our hip. Same thing over here. Then I'll draw this knee first. Like so. And our glutes. And I'm still trying to kind of give a little swooping line there at the end so we can sort of visualize the tendons in the knee. Then we'll give the calf like so. I need it a little bit thinner. There we go. And again, just a super simple foot placeholder here. And then same with over here on this knee. But really all we're worried about when it comes to these seated characters is really just paying attention to where the thighs are going to be pushing out and over. For our standing characters, the meat's just going to kind of hang neutrally unless there's something pushed up against it. But in this case, since they're sitting, that mass has to move around the object, because theoretically if she's sitting on a bench, she's not going to move the bench out of the way. Instead, her body's going to kind of warp around it. So we'll keep this a little bit more perky here. So that's why even in the sitting position, you can see that her thighs are going to spill out past her hips, whereas typically they would just kind of hang off and do their own thing. But because she's sitting down, all of that meat has to get pushed out and is going to get slightly flattened at the base. So we'll look at some more sitting positions in later videos where we can go over that further, but for right now, I think this is a pretty good introduction to the idea, where really the only thing we're concerned about, like, of course you want to try to get some nice shoulder angle as opposed to your hip angle, so it'll help the overall flow of your character, but really the most important thing to remember is just making sure that your thighs, the area that's going to be against the object, is going to sort of just roll around that object and it's going to expand itself. It's not going to get bigger than what is already there. She's not going to just magically get, more thigh to play with or anything. But instead, it's just however thick your character's thighs are, try to envision that sort of, that mass, instead of just being quite so rounded, all of that is just going to get pushed out to the sides a little bit more. So either way, hopefully you found this helpful, and I will see you in the next one.